The most important thing in communication that women need, most women, is conversation. Now, we're going to do a needs test a little later, and you'll find that's a high need of most women. And for men, it is something they just don't want to do. It's a chore to them. Now, they'll talk about football. They'll talk about baseball or fishing or hunting. Man, you talk about that stuff, and they won't stop. So they talk about surface issues, but women, we get to the meat of it. We want to talk about, how does that make you feel? Oh, my goodness. And so no wonder we have troubles getting our husbands to talk to us. An example of that is when our children were small, we lived at a house that was on the water, and I'd say to Rick, let's go sit on the dock and talk. And he'd look at me. And then he'd grab his crossword puzzle, because this was before iPads and iPods and computers and all that. So he'd have his crossword puzzle, and we'd get there, and I'd look at him. He'd go, well, what do you want to talk about?
Exactly.
That just kind of ruins the whole atmosphere, if you ask me. I got to tell you what we're going to talk about?
You know, and the basic difference is, men only talk, like if I'm going to talk to John about something, it's because, hey, John, my shoulder's bad. I know he's a therapist. He can help me with my shoulder, right? I'm not going to talk to him about engineering fighter aircraft because I don't think he can probably help me with that. My wife, on the other hand, and it took me a long time to learn this, she doesn't know how she thinks about something until she talks about it. She just wants to talk the issue through. And so she'd say, well, you know, I'm concerned. My sister is doing such and such. And I'd say, well, why don't you do? And she'd go, don't solve my problems for me. Listen to me. Well, when men are fixers by nature. So you're asking me to do something. Well, you know, they never had that in school. I took a lot of college courses. They didn't have that course in school. So you have to learn that as you go. Well, then, so after she gets mad at me a few times in this, I turn around and go, okay, I am really going to work hard next time she talks to me at not trying to fix her problem. I'm going to listen. So she's talking about her problem. She's blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. And she goes, you're not even listening to me. Oh, yeah, you got mad at me when I tried to fix your problem. Right? I'll tell you exactly what you said. And she gets mad and she walks off. And so the problem, what I had to do is, here's what broke the code for me. And we're actually going to have an exercise in this a little bit later. Here's
you too, Frank.
Watching my 12-year-old daughter talk to my wife. They will talk to each other. Now she's 27 now, but when she was 12, they would have these conversations. Really? Oh no, Megan, are you kidding me? How did that make you feel? What? You know, they're empathizing with each other. And so I figure in 32 years of marriage, I've not gotten to the level of a 12-year-old girl yet, but I'm about a 9-year-old girl, okay? I'm making massive progress and massive strides. The point is, men, 5th chapter of Ephesians said we're called to serve our wives the way Christ served the church. Okay? Matthew 20:28 says, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. If we're going to truly be godly men, we're going to be the spiritual leaders of our household, we need to know our wives. Now, Jesus knows every hair in my head. I'm never going to know my wife that well, but it's a lifelong mission to try.